Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Newsbeat presented to you by Ladies Like and Survivor. Follow the beat from the studio to the street. Info with the flow keeps you sharp and in the know. Sit back, relax, enjoy the news. Follow. Kenya's economy has grown by leaps and bounds in the past decade due to in part to its direct investment on the African continent and intra-trade. The Safari Nation dislocates South Africa as the biggest intra-African investor, as it invested in 33 projects on the continent against South Africa's 33 projects last year.
Many South African companies that ventured into Kenya in the 1990s faced collapse, unlike in Uganda, Tanzania, and other West African countries, mainly due to Kenya's deeply entrenched brands and various multinational entities, and the country's already existing high-quality products and services, coupled with consumer loyalties.
However, many Kenyan companies adopted the South African strategy to attain their targets, as South African brands were the first to venture outside their local markets.
Kenyan supermarket chain Nakumatt has managed to become a regional player by gaining market share from Shoprite, South Africa's leading retailer.
And although loss-making stores forced Uchumi to close shops in Uganda and Tanzania, the supermarket chain is considering expanding into Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, and Nigeria.
Equity Bank, which already operates in 5 African states, reportedly has plans to operate in 10 more African countries by the year 2026.
Kenyan companies have more than double of their investments on the continent, with financial and business services counting to nearly 78% of their investments.
However, Morocco and South Africa still lead Kenya in terms of the investment's worth, with Morocco investing over $3 billion, South Africa $2 billion to Kenya's $1 billion.
And while South African companies have been aggressively investing across Africa, Kenyan companies have been reluctant to invest outside the East African region so far.
East Africa, however, had more investments than any other African region last year, which was mainly attributed to the investment contribution of Kenya. For almost 3 decades, Koffi Olomide has established himself as a formidable producer, composer, singer, and dancer, as well as a distinguished businessman who runs transport and real estate companies in Kinshasa. But a long history of controversy and violence has led to the flamboyant musician's fall from grace. Koffi Olomide's recent assault of one of his dancers at Jomo Kenyatta Airport was not the first incident to land him in trouble or criminal court. During his first tour of Kenya in the mid-90s, he ripped apart one of his dancers' passport for allegedly trying to blackmail him and jeopardize his concert. In 1998, Olomide destroyed yet another passport belonging to fellow musician Suzuki Luzubu after a scuffle in Nairobi. Luzubu had to get temporary papers to get back home eventually. In 2008, he was arrested at a concert in Kinshasa for beating up a camera operator. And in 2012, he eluded imprisonment in Zambia over disagreements with his promoter. The same year, Koffi Olomide was arrested for rape by a French prosecutor after 3 of his former dancers named him as the perpetrator. And this was a few months after his suspended sentence for assaulting his producer. In 2014, he was arrested for calling himself Old Ebola to announce his concert in Congo's capital, at a time when the Ebola epidemic had claimed the lives of over 50 people. Known for his many nicknames, Olomide also added Benedict XVI of Congo to his long list, which angered Congo's majority population of devout Roman Catholics. The 60-year-old crooner had got away with many offenses in Congo because he's a Kabila loyalist, which has also made him a target of the anti-Kabila activists. However, his political connections were not enough to prevent his arrest in Kinshasa at his own home for assaulting his dancer for reasons unknown, as the Rumba maestro was eventually sentenced to 1 year in prison. Somalia welcomes the first female presidential candidate. Our reporter Tushi Polo is here to elaborate.
Somalia is a country usually called out for violence, but its latest presidential candidate is offering progress. Fatuma Dayib is a Somali woman who lives in Finland, and she's vying for the leadership of her motherland. Dayib is a unique person not only for applying for this post, but the only child of her mother to survive after 11 were lost. She started education at 14, but now has 3 master's degrees and is currently pursuing a PhD. Her priority is to address the country's insecurity. She points out that 75% of Somalis are underage, at risk and facing unemployment. So they end up with Al-Shabaab as pirates, others head to the west and die trying to migrate. Once a refugee, she faced a lot of violence but continues to struggle to make a difference in the lives of others, especially children and women, by vying for a position dominated by men. Dayib has already received death threats, but to her they are just a sign that she's a good bet for a competent and visionary president. Fatuma Dayib faces great risk but offers a rare opportunity, a courageous leader willing to die for her country. Somalia's elections will be held in August. Meanwhile, Ugandans are tweeting their support with the hashtag Dayib for president. Best of luck to Dayib and all the candidates, and to Somalia to elect the best for president. I'm Tushi Polo, reporting for Newsbeat.
Thank you, Tushi Polo, for that report. The recent news of South Sudan is always on war and terror, but to think that's the only news would be an error. More than war and guns, South Sudan is full of talented daughters and sons. Even if sports events other than soccer are rarely seen, some people from South Sudan have a very special dream. They want to participate in the Olympics, but for that, practice will be the only trick. In Brazil, South Sudan will send their 3 athletes. Even the youngest nation has the right to compete. Runner Sentino Kenny is only 16 years old, running for the 1,500 meter, aiming for gold. The small delegation is making history and knows the weight of that responsibility. But he believes sports can heal his nation, and he aims to give the youth strong inspiration. He has continued to run in the streets of Juba, even when the situation was dire. And now Rio is his only hope to beat the rest of the world. That was the news on the beat. Next week will be another hit, still Ladies Like and Survivor, reporting live and direct with love and respect. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.